So, after how good my other Berserk video did, I thought I'd do another one. And this is going to be the differences between the anime and the manga. The Golden Age saga, at least. We're going to cover that whole arc. So this is Griffith and the Band of the Hawk and their past, and as well as Guts. Let's get into it. Now, we're going to be covering mainly the 90s series and the movies. And if you want to see the video I did on that, where I did the differences for each one, you can check that out. I'll leave a link in the description box. But anyway, I want people to really understand how different it is in the manga than how it is in the show. In the manga, they start out already time has passed. So we're going to start at a later point and then we're going to go back to the past. I may one day do a timeline video on this so it doesn't get as confusing, but let's just say we're starting off in the future. This is after the whole Band of the Hawk stuff has started. So that's where the manga starts. Also, I want to say the manga spoils a lot of shit, but I'll cover that when we get there, but it spoils a lot. So we're actually going to have to start at the 2016 anime, because that's really when the whole series starts in the manga. It's at that, episode 1 of the 2016 anime. It's when they're at the bar and you see Puck tied up and everything, that's where it starts. Now this is only going to be a 5-minute scene, and then that's it for 2016. They're starting off with that 5-minute bar scene there, and then they go off into a whole different arc. So they don't go into the Band of the Hawk stuff, but this is where the start of the manga takes place. Now in the show, they're abusing Ishido. I'm trying to say his name right, I might be pronouncing that wrong, but they abuse him and then Guts comes in and saves them. He doesn't kill them though, he just beats them up. In the manga, it's very different. The kid's not even there and they're just abusing Puck. And Guts kills them. He doesn't just beat them up like he does in the show. He kills them in the manga. And the reason he kills them is not because of Puck to save Puck. It's because they're working for this apostle. And that's why he says, "Tell your master I'm coming for him." Now in the 90s series, it's very similar to the manga. Only difference being there's no Puck at all. And they're abusing this girl instead of the kid like it was in the 2016 anime. Outside of that though, no changes. He does tell one of the guys that I'm coming for your master. Continuing with the manga, Guts leaves the bar and Puck follows him, annoying him. Guts really doesn't want him to join, but Puck is insistent. On the way, he gets captured by the guards, and eventually he's in this torture chamber getting tortured and ripped by the torturer. Later, the Lord Mayor comes in, and he tells Guts, "You don't know what you've done, you don't know how terrifying the Master is." And Guts says, "No, I know exactly what I've done, I know exactly who I'm dealing with. I know that your Master eats people. I know how crazy he is." So Guts knows exactly what situation he's gotten himself into. In the anime, he's not captured. It's just reported in that Guts has killed the castle guards, but he's not captured at all. He's still out and about, and he actually has some visions and stuff that happens while he's in the forest. Now, there's not much changes when the Lord Mayor meets the King Baron. Only change being is that it was an agreement in the show. In the manga, it was nothing like that. He was just giving him favors, hoping that he wouldn't kill them. And honestly, in the manga, it doesn't show that he's killed the mayor. In the show, it's very hinted that he just killed everyone, including the mayor and everyone. He killed everyone regardless, but in the manga, it's not hinted that he killed the mayor. In the show, it's definitely hinted that he killed the mayor as well. Now in the show, he goes into the forest, like I said, and he was having visions. In the manga, he's in the prison cell having visions, and he's badly injured. Puck goes to touch him, and he's like, "Don't touch me," so he's back on that kick that he will be on at an earlier, or I guess later point. It's confusing with the timeline, because the manga is very much out of order. So, anyway. Puck comes in with the keys, by the way, so he's able to free himself and get out. And before he gets out, they have a conversation. Basically, they're just saying what the brand is, why he's like this, why he's involved, why he doesn't get involved, why he was helping, why he wasn't helping. I don't feel like breaking down the whole conversation. Let's just say him and Puck have a conversation about their views, his views, how they're different. It's not important, really, but I'm just showing the differences here. Now we're at the scene where both in the show and the manga, the Snake Baron is killing all the townspeople. Difference being, in the manga, he escapes his prison cell to go and confront the Snake Baron. In the show, he's free and just walks into the town while the Snake Baron is destroying everyone and killing everyone. In the manga, they still don't show that the Lord Mayor is dead, and on his spear, there's a little kid. Now, in the show, they tone it the fuck down, and they actually have the Lord Mayor on his spear. But in the manga, it's a little kid. That's why I said the 90s tones it the fuck down. Not a lot of differences in the fight between the Snake Baron and Guts, only difference being in the manga, he asks where are the 5 God hands, and he says he doesn't know. In the 90s anime series, that scene is not there. Back to the manga, someone is getting executed for being a heretic, and Guts goes in after the girl is executed. He grabs her head and tosses it back to him. They think this is disrespectful and that Guts is siding with the heretic, so they go after him. Of course, before all that happens, he leaves the mark of the brand on the dead woman's head and tosses it up to their leader, and he thinks this is war, and obviously he's part of something as well for Guts to do that. They go after Guts. Guts is going around killing most of his guards. Eventually he fights the Captain Zondark, and he defeats him. Eventually he gets away thanks to this disfigured man. He leaves a smoke grenade or smoke bomb, whatever, and he's able to escape thanks to this disfigured old man. The old man saved Guts because he wants revenge on the Count, because he's the one who disfigured him and messed up his face and legs and stuff. And Guts kicks his fucking crane. I'm sorry, I just found it funny. I know it shouldn't be, but he just kicked his crane and be like, I'm the one asking questions, because at first the Count was asking him a whole bunch of questions. I just wanted to mention that. The old man is also in possession of the Bayolet, Griffith's little necklace, I guess. The Count came in possession of the Bayolet, and from that day he changed, and he was raping, killing, and eating a whole bunch of people. And he also did this in front of Vargas' face, who is actually, of course, the disfigured old man. And he did this to his wife and child when Vargas couldn't take any more, tried to flee, and he wound up getting mutilated, disfigured, and, of course, watching his wife and son die in front of him. Meanwhile, Captain Zondark, who is waking up after being defeated by Guts, wants to kill him, and he's raging, this, that, and the other. The Count comes in, and he gives him a part of his body, which is this slug thing that comes out of his mouth, and he feeds it to him. So yeah, that happens. Vargas shows Guts a hidden passageway, and eventually Captain Zondark busts in, and he goes after Guts. Guts is able to cut off his arm after a brief fight and struggle, and of course it's able to grow back. Kinda, sort of. It's like this sluggish thing that's able to grow back after he cuts his arm off. He also cuts the top of his head off, like slices it, a quarter of it off, and the thing that he gave Captain Zondark, part of himself, is able to sprout from that injury, and he's able to start talking to Guts. So I guess part of Vargas can talk to him, even though the other part is somewhere else. But yeah, it's hard to bring this thing down, obviously, because of that. Guts and everyone are able to flee while the whole building or little section collapses on Captain Zondark and that thing. Guts and Puck leave Vargas, and the elf tells him not to focus on revenge, there's more to life. And sadly, 2 minutes later, the thing that was controlling Captain Zondark goes and captures Vargas. So, yeah, hopefully he can still do that. After being captured by the Count, he's brought forth to everyone to be executed, and Guts is there, and Puck is trying to get Guts to interfere to stop this, and Guts refuses, and he gets executed right in front of everyone. You were thinking that like Guts was going to change his mind and, go and help him. That does not happen. After a night of visions and other things, Guts decides to go kill the Count. At first he said he was going to kill him, but then he got the Bayolet, said he wasn't, and then now he's going back. He's been going back and forth and killing him. Puck, by the way, did try to stop him, but it was to no avail, of course, because he's like, I don't know, a couple of inches or whatever, and dove head first into the executioner's heart. Didn't do anything. Tried to headbutt it, I don't know what he was trying to do. And yeah, he gets captured. The Count winds up giving Puck as a gift to his daughter, and the daughter really doesn't want anything to do with the Count. On the secret passageway, Guts finds Captain Zondark, who is still not dead, and now he's mutated even more. So yeah, he's got to deal with that. During the battle with Captain Zondark, he keeps cutting it, but he's able to keep regenerating and mutating until his dumbass says, I can keep regenerating as long as you don't damage my head. And of course, Guts goes right for his head. He cuts it off, but it's still alive because he didn't get the brain, I guess. And it's trying to possess Guts now, but Guts is able to just smash it against the wall and kill it. So, kind of fucked himself over. Now we go to Puck, who's talking with his daughter, Teresa, and Teresa is telling him that he changed 7 years ago because of what happened to his wife. And what happened to his wife is that she was captured by gypsies, and eventually she was sacrificed. Then her father started going on the hunt and trying to kill Not just them, but a whole bunch of people. And not just even killing them, I mean torturing them. Guts makes his way through the castle, killing a whole bunch of guards, and eventually he makes it to the Count, who's ready, of course, for him. Guts fights the Count, who transforms into this huge sluggish thing, and he can't kill him because he keeps regenerating, similar to how Captain Zondark was. Also, during the fight, his daughter eventually sees him like this, and he's, of course, this huge, sluggish monster. This sends him into a rage, and Guts is able to use this to his advantage because he puts Teresa in front of him to stop him from attacking, and then Guts is able to get the upper hand. He cuts its head off and he starts stabbing it, and this thing is really hard to kill. Its skin is very hard to penetrate as well. He screams out he doesn't want to die, and the Bayolet transports them into this other dimension, I guess, and the Five God Hand appears, along with Griffith. Which is something I don't understand as well. In the manga, they spoil the shit out of the Golden Age part. In the anime series and the movies, they don't do this. In the manga, it's spoiled. You know exactly what that is. You can really tell that's Griffith. Everyone knows that's fucking Griffith in there. So before the Golden Age saga starts, the manga just spoils it, telling you that, yeah, this dude Griffith, he's gonna be fucked up. Granted, it doesn't tell you how far as he'll go, but it's still pretty fucking damaging knowing that, hey, I know this is all bullshit. I know that Griffith's gonna eventually turn on him. I don't know why the manga decided to do this, but hey, they did. The Count wants them to be able to kill Guts, and the God Hand won't do that because he wished to live, not to kill Guts. So that's why the Bayolet granted him that and sent them there. Later on, the God Hand reveals what really happened with the Count. And what really happened was his wife was cheating. And not only was she cheating, it was like an orgy thing with a goat head there. So yeah, it was all that. And this tormented him, and he wanted to get rid of all this torment because he couldn't kill his wife. He killed everyone else, but his wife he couldn't kill. He went mad, just started killing everyone except her. And to get rid of the torment, he had to sacrifice his wife. And so that's how he was able to become this thing, this sluggish creature, and live, I guess. Now the Count has to make a similar decision. He either can sacrifice his daughter Teresa and live, or die and get sucked into hell. And he does not sacrifice Teresa, and he winds up getting dragged into hell and dying. Teresa is able to live, and she's of course miserable because she lost her father, who was this sluggish monster, but he did save her life and did not get her dragged into hell. And she's thinking of suicide, but instead she does not do that, but she blames Guts, and she vows vengeance and to kill Guts. And that's her reason for living. And Guts understands her and accepts that. Now this is where I believe the anime should have started. And this is when Guts is born. He is born from a miscarriage, or a supposed miscarriage I should say, from his mother. And this girl named Shizu, who's part of the mercenary band, takes him in. Gambino at first is telling her to leave him be, but she's attached to it, and she brings Guts along with her. You know, I'm just really surprised. At least the movie, I could see why the series didn't, because the series, like I said, was really toned the fuck down. But the movie should have at least incorporated this scene, because the movies are darker. So they could have did this scene. I get why the 90s series didn't do it, but definitely the movies should have. Shizu eventually dies though because of a disease, and Guts watches his mother die, or adoptive mother I should say. After that time, he's getting trained by mercenaries as well as helping them by giving them weapons when they're on the battlefield, and he's trying to earn his keep. 3 years later, Guts is now fighting with the mercenaries, and he gets some money of course, and he's able to provide for himself, but most of it goes to Gambino. He only gets a little bit of it. After one of their battles, later that night, Donovan goes into Guts' tent, and of course he rapes him at the age of 9 years old. While that is happening, he says that he's already paid for it, because of course Guts is fighting and struggling, and he's like, why are you doing this? Because, you know, he's already paid for it. And he reveals that Gambino was the one who sold him. Guts doesn't believe this, and yeah, I'm sure it goes on throughout the night. During one of their jobs, Guts is able to corner Donovan, and he winds up killing him. Also during this job, Gambino gets injured, and that's where he loses his leg, and he won't be able to battle anymore. The anime shows Gambino getting injured in the anime series in the 90s, But they get rid of that whole Donovan angle. I don't believe he's mentioned at all, so that's a big thing they do not put in the anime, but it's in the manga. Now, it's hinted at in the movies in a little illusion that he has, but it's not really said or stated. It's more of an illusion thing, and you kind of have to put the pieces together in the movie. In the anime series, that's not even there. The whole Donovan thing is not there. Later on, he goes into the tent of Guts and full of anger, hatred, and just hatred of Guts, and also depression over losing his leg. He goes into Guts' tent to kill him, and Guts is able to fend him off, and this is shown in the anime as well. Biggest difference is during this scene in the manga, Gambino reveals that he's the one who sold Guts to Donovan. In the anime, that's not stated because Donovan's not in the anime series. Then, of course, he kills him, the whole runaway scene, that's all in the anime and manga. Only difference being, in the manga, they do show that he is taken in by a group that stumbles across him. In the anime, they don't show that. Now, there's not a lot of changes all the way up to when Guts is leaving the Band of the Hawk. So it's pretty much you get the majority of everything if you watch both the movie and the show. There's not really anything you're going to miss. There might be slight dialogue changes, stuff like that, but nothing major. At least in the manga. The timeline might be a little different on when I'm saying this because the manga timeline is different from the show and the movie. Now, that fight happens with Griffith, only difference being is that in the manga you get a vision of him dying. In the show and the movie you don't get that. Now, another difference is when the Queen and her group is plotting Griffith's downfall. It's pretty much the same, the only difference being is that the main reason, or I should say one of the reasons, is that Griffith killed Julius. And Julius was having an affair with the Queen. And the Queen was in love or fell in love with him. And this was something that made her want revenge against Griffith. So that's why she plots to kill him. Now, later on, there's 2 sex scenes in the manga. And there's just 1 in the movie and in the show. Both do different things. Both don't put one of the sex scenes that happen. In the manga, one of the sex scenes that happens is that Guts has PTSD of what happened with Donovan, and he's actually strangling Casca. And not only that, but he's also going through just a mental breakdown, because he's killed so many people, including his father. Now, another thing that happened, and this is in the anime movies, is that after the sex scene, he's still naked and he goes out into the woods because the Skull Knight confronts him around that time. Now, in the manga, he's in the woods and he has clothes on, this, that, and the other. So it's not right after he had sex with Casca in the manga. A huge revelation is revealed in the manga after, of course, Griffith sleeps with Charlotte. He hints to the king that he wants his daughter. Now, this was only hinted at in the show and the movies. But in the manga, the king does try to sexually assault his daughter. She's able to kick him away and stop him, but he was trying to get it on with his daughter. Also in the manga, there's a scene where the king discovers the blood because, of course, that was Charlotte's first time, so of course she bled from it. Later on, Guts is fighting the prized fighter named Sealot, and this is something that the movies and the show didn't put in. Well, the movies put it in, but they put it in on a later scene. Now, the anime series, they had him fighting someone else, but it was not Sealot. Not only did Guts fight Sealot later on in this competition thing, and I want people to know this is the time where he left the Hawks, Sealot also goes and raids the Band of the Hawk and tries to take them out. And that's shown in the movies. That whole part is shown in the movies, but they didn't have that early on. So that's just the only difference there. Now, when they go to rescue Griffith, Charlotte is there and she makes her way towards him. Only difference being in the manga, there is a scene where she comes in handy and she gets rid of the guards there. And later on, they do have to kill a couple of guards. So that's the only big difference there. When they reach where Griffith is held, they don't want the princess to go with them, but she argues and eventually they just relent and say, fine, you can come with us. Now they go down into this whole chamber and she gives the whole backstory and history of how it came to be. I won't really go into detail there. Only thing is, I missed that on my 90s and the movies differences, I missed that whole part of putting that in there. The movies have that scene, the 90s series does not. Because Charlotte doesn't even go into the whole prison thing where Griffith is held in the 90s series. Now, after they escape in both the 90s and the movies, the king is no longer there, but in the manga he is, and he is the one who sends the Bakaraki. I hope I'm saying that right, but he sends them after Guts once he breaks through and they're trying to escape. The Bakaraki are these group of skilled warriors, and they're on the hunt for Griffith, and of course to get Charlotte back, because Charlotte is with them, and the king wants Charlotte back, but he also wants Griffith dead by any means necessary. The Bakaraki eventually catch up to Guts and his crew, and during the battle, they wind up poisoning Charlotte. And since Guts and his crew can't cure Charlotte, and they don't have the antidote, but the mercenaries do, they send them back with her because the king does not want Charlotte dead. She just wants Griffith and his crew dead, I guess, but mainly Griffith. And the king definitely wants her alive because he told the Bakaraki if you do hurt her, he would wipe out their whole race. So the king's not fucking around. He wants Charlotte badly. You can say in a, well, it's definitely a loving way. It just might be the wrong loving way. They wind up killing most of them except for this one lady who blows fire at them. The fire comes at them, but Griffith is able to point in a direction, or look in a direction. He can't even point at this point. But he looks up and the fire goes up and they're able to escape and get out of that little containment they were in. Charlotte is brought back to the king, and the king winds up killing that one girl who escaped, since there was 4 members of the Bakaraki, 3 guys, 1 girl. She was the one who blew the fire at them. She escaped, but the king killed her because she did not get the job done. Charlotte begs the king to not go after Griffith anymore, and he agrees because he doesn't want to trouble her anymore. But he is lying to her. She goes to her room, and the king sends the Black Dog Knights after Guts and his whole band of the Hawk. Now, the Black Dog Knights, they are fucking crazy. Well, mainly the leader. The leader's the most craziest motherfucker, but even the members of the gang are crazy because it's a group of murderers, rapists, they're all in that gang. The leader is an apostle named Wyald, and he's pretty hardcore. He's pretty fucking vicious. He made his debut killing a guy and putting him on top of a building to show himself to the king, or show himself off to the king. An example of this would be when Guts and the Band of the Hawk are escaping. They get helped out by some villagers, and they help him get a carriage, and they help them on their way. Now, the Black Dog Knights, they find out that they helped Guts, and yeah, let's just say they rape the girl and they kill all the other members, and then after raping the girl, they cut up her body parts and ride with them towards the Band of the Hawk. These guys are fucking insane. And not just her, by the way, other people who were in the village, they took all of them and they cut their body parts up and are riding towards them now. They catch up to Guts and the Band of the Hawk, and they have this little battle. They're able to eventually get away because they blow up the bridge and cut themselves off to them, but that's only going to last for a short while. The Black Dog Knights are motivated by fear. Their number one motto is to live life by enjoyment and excitement. So if you do not do that, he will kill you. So there's no option in this group. You will go into that trap. You will go into a death-infested area. It does not matter because he says life is meaningless, so you might as well only live it for enjoyment and excitement. And if you do not follow him and go by these rules, then he will kill you. That probably means rape and all that. Like, you have to live it all the way. So rape and killing, you have to do it in this group, in this gang. There is no exceptions once you join this gang. It's why they were banished to a remote part of Midland, because of how vicious their nature was, and they would carry it out even on civilians. Like, it doesn't matter. Raping and killing, it's not just the enemy, it's anyone in their path. The Dog Knights catch up to the Band of the Hawk, but the Band of the Hawk have set up traps, which one of the members of the Dog Knights warns the leader about, and he kills him because it doesn't matter. You just go for it, and there's no other options. You just have to do what he says. You go for it, enjoy life positively, no regrets, just go for it, go into danger, go into any situation. As the fight continues, some of the Dog Knights, they start to run away because the Band of the Hawk, they're ready for them, and they're prepared. Once they start to run away, the leader Raylan, he starts to kill them. Once he kills all of them, or almost all of them, I'm not sure if anyone lived through that, but once he's gotten through with them, he transforms into this big monster because he is an apostle. Guts fights him for a little bit before he takes Guts out. Then he grabs Casca, and for God's sakes, man, Casca's going to do a lot of shit, and it's not even over, but this big monster tries to rape Casca, and I don't know how many times he's been threatened with rape, but I'm not sure. I don't think he succeeds in doing it. Guts stops him, I think, right before he puts it in her, but yeah, this big monster was about to rape Casca, so damn, I feel bad for her. After a back and forth, Guts finally gets the upper hand and he's able to kill the monster. Or at least it seems that way. It turns out he's not dead and he's able to make his way to the Band of the Hawk, and they're resting up thinking it's over. He comes back and grabs Griffith and he tells him to summon the Four God Hand. He's not able to because the Bailey is no longer on Griffith, and he also reveals to the Band of the Hawk how messed up Griffith is. After that, Zod appears and he takes out this apostle and kills him. After Zod kills the leader of the Black Dark Knights, we find out that he was just a decrepit old man. I kind of want to know the backstory of that. Maybe there's something down the line where they'll go over that and how he became how he was, but I kind of want to know. Now, there's not much difference with the Eclipse and a little bit after that, at least if you watch the movies. In the 90s one, there's different, but the movies, they pretty much keep the whole manga tone. The only thing difference from the manga and the films is that there's a lot more extra added on to what happens after the Eclipse. There's a scene with Griffith and he's talking to God, or an idea of it, or hell. It's something like that. I guess we can say something to that nature, and he has a little conversation with it. Later, we go back to Casca, and Casca is giving birth to the spawn of Griffith, and it's a hell spawn. And Guts, of course, tries to kill it, and Casca stops him. I don't know why Casca wants to save this thing. Eventually, Guts grabs it, but it vanishes into thin air, but the Skull Knight says it's not dead, it will reappear again at a later point. Later, there's a scene with Casca, but not much happens. She's just far gone because of what happened, and they give Guts his new weapons and attire and all that. Also, a monster appears and Guts fights the monster. They have a back and forth, but he's able to eventually grab the sword that was made by the blacksmith, and this sword was able to kill a dragon, and that's why in episode 1 in the 2016 anime it's called Dragon Slayer. Had to get back to that point. If people want to know why I didn't mention the Adolf and Colette scene, is because there's no changes from the anime or the manga outside of Berserk being naked in like one scene, I think he had pants in another, but there was no changes at all for that particular part. Maybe like slight dialogue changes, but nothing major. And that part does come after he meets the Snake Baron, so just in case people want to know the timeline for it. That becomes Guts' new sword, and eventually he's able to kill the monster with all the new weapons he has. And that's the end of the Golden Age arc. So, it was a lot to cover. This is where I think it really ends. I'm not sure if it ended before or after the Eclipse, but this is where I think it should have ended, or this is where I'm ending the video and saying this is the end of the Golden Age arc. So that is it for the video, guys. I want to say that I think the manga is better. The timeline is questionable, though. I don't know why they spoiled a lot of things in the manga. I don't understand that, but I do think the manga is overall better than the show. I also want to say that I love Berserk. It really helps you when you're going through a tough time mentally, and it really, really uplifts you sometime, and it gives you a new perspective. I know there's a lot of dark shit as well. I know it's very dark, but if you are going through a tough time, I do recommend this. I really, really enjoy Berserk, and I hope to do another video on this soon. Thank you guys. Let me know what you think. Let me know if I missed anything. See it about. Peace. See y'all in the next one.